Hello and welcome back to It's a Histocracy with me, Waffy and Paul. Yes, we took a bit of a break, had Christmas, birthdays, etc., but now we are back.
Today we'll unpick the history of old, extremely famous British monuments that still stand today.
These monuments have kept our economy and tourism up, and they still do. So hope you enjoy it, and let's begin. The first monument we would like to discuss is Big Ben. Big Ben was actually constructed in 1834 by the bell makers John Warner and Sons. However, a few years later only, it cracked, and a new one had to be made in 1859, which is still the one we have now. The reason why it was actually built was because Charles Barry needed a new design of Palace of Westminster after the fire in 1834. He turned to Augustus Pugin for help in designing the tower. This tower was Pugin's final design before he became mad and committed suicide. That's lucky he created pretty early. To be able to actually be given access into Big Ben, funnily enough, you need to be able to talk to a member of parliament and ask access from him, meaning the access is only for UK citizens.
Now for the next historic monument, we have the Houses of Parliament. So construction began in 1837 and the cornerstone was laid in 1840 and work was finished in 1860. It was made by Sir Charles Barry, assisted by Augustus Pugin. So he also designed the buildings in the Gothic Revival style as well. So it was originally built by William II between 1097 and 1099. It was the largest hall in England at the time. Its sheer scale designed to fill subjects with awe. The palace was remodelled and extended by various royal residents until the 1500s, when its role as a royal residence abruptly ended. In 1512, the palace suffered greatly from fire, and thereafter ceased to be used as a royal residence. Later, in 1550, for the meetings of the House of Commons, held previously in the chapter house of Westminster Abbey, the Lords used another apartment of the palace. A fire in 1834 destroyed the whole palace except the historic Westminster Hall, the Jewel Tower, and the cloisters. Along with Westminster Abbey and St. Margaret's Church, the Houses of Parliament were designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1987. While the Palace of Westminster is now home to modern government, it is also known for respecting traditions which stretch back many centuries. In the earliest days of Parliament, figures attending would have brought their swords. As such, the venue still provides a place to hang these swords. In addition, the floor in many of the rooms includes marking, which are each approximately 2 swords' lengths away from one another. It is reputed this was intended to stop fights breaking out in the building.
Now, nearly last, we have the London Eye. Now, the London Eye, the landmark that it is now, it was actually opened very recently on the 31st of December 1999, trying to start the new millennium with a new landmark. However, the first passenger was actually allowed on March the 9th in 2000. Marx Barfield Architects developed this landmark, and it was made because of the celebration of the new millennium. Tony Blair was the Prime Minister at the time who was there to open the new landmark. And the idea was actually chosen from a host of entries into a competition held back in 1993. It was actually originally scheduled to be dismantled after 5 years of use. However, then we realized that the tourism and the money that the economy was getting from this landmark made it a continuous landmark. Many interesting stories about it actually include that at 135 meters tall, the London Eye is the world's largest cantilevered observation wheel, which means that it's only held by one side, making it very dangerous that it could just fall into the River Thames. The Eye actually has 32 capsules, one of them for each of the city's 32 boroughs. But if you listen carefully to one of our other podcasts, the number 13 capsule is actually skipped. So they are numbered from 1 to 33. And one thing that differentiates the Eye from other Ferris wheels around the world is the fact that it's cantilevered, and this makes it a much more unique landmark compared to many others around the world.
Our final landmark is the Stonehenge. So it was apparently made around in 2000 BC, but this is unknown. It is also unknown who made it, ranging from Romans to Danes to Druids, which are Celts. Dates of it being built are so uncertain, in fact, that this was ranged from 5000 BC all the way to 1200 AD. A few interesting stories about Stonehenge are that the Druids count Stonehenge as a religious site in the Druid religion. Supposedly, it was used as a place of burial, possibly of the elite of the country, with more than 50,000 bones being discovered there, representing a total of 63 people. Another belief is that the wizard Merlin built it in the 12th century. And finally, it was also a place of healing, with skeletons with signs of illness or injury found under the ground. And of course, aliens must also be on the list. People believe that the rocks were dragged 200 miles away, as they possess an unusual acoustic property, which means when they are struck, they produce a loud clanging sound, which likely explains why someone bothered to transport them over such a long distance. That is why they got the name the Rigging Rocks.
So that's it for today. Nice and short. Hope you liked it.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.